Just 3 weeks after signing a highly controversial anti-immigrant bill that orders police officers to stop and interrogate anyone they suspect is an undocumented immigrant, Arizona Governor Jan Brewer has signed a new law banning ethnic studies in Arizona public schools. The law would shut down a popular Mexican-American studies program in the Tucson school district. It will also affect specialized courses in African-American and Native American studies. In response, students have taken to the streets to voice their opposition to the bill. On Wednesday, 15 people, most of them students, were arrested protesting the law at the state offices of education in Tucson.
Kim Dominguez was one of those arrested. She's a graduate of La Raza Studies. She joins us now from Tucson, along with Isabel Garcia, who also took part in the protest. Isabel Garcia is the co-chair of the Coalition for Human Rights, which is based in Tucson. She's a legal defender of Pima County, Arizona. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Kim, let's begin with you. Explain what La Raza Studies are and why you were arrested.
Well, the program is actually called Mexican-American Raza Studies. When I enrolled in the class in 2002, it was titled Hispanic Studies. And so Mexican-American Raza Studies junior year is American history through a Chicano perspective. And we look at several different issues, not just nationally and not just within the Chicano community, but globally. And senior year is American government through a social justice perspective. So we learn how to do different methods of looking at social injustices, such as video documentation, photo documentation, blogging, different things like that.
And the proponents of this legislation have claimed that that this kind of ethnic studies program is creating divisions among the American people, among youth, in terms of how they see their role in the United States. What's your response to that?
Well, I don't think it's creating any division, and I don't think that this process of like division starts between the students in the classes. I think that if anything is promoted in the classes, it's solidarity among humanity, not between any ethnic group.
Isabel Garcia, can you talk about how this fits into your whole campaign around human rights? I mean, this is the second bill that has been passed in the last month. You first had the bill around immigration, and maybe you can talk about that and how that has fueled the response to the second bill that would ban ethnic studies in the public schools of Arizona.
Yes, for the last 10, 15 years, this state, of course, has seen a dramatic increase in like the anti-immigrant Mexican sort of hysteria around here. And as following 1070, like you say, 2281 was also approved. If you can imagine, this is a Republican government and legislature that pretends to say that all control should be local. Here we have a local, successful Chicano Mexican-American Studies program that has proved over and over and over again that the students who take these classes not only do much better in the high-stakes testing system that they have here, but these are students that come out into the world and relate to the entire, all cultures, because they've been able to learn something about Mexican Americans. So it is totally tied to this anti-immigrant fervor that has gripped this state, because they've come here. Tom Horn, who is now running for Attorney General, has come here to focus on TUSD and what we believe is sort of like a cultural cleansing and ethnic cleansing. It's very, very clear what this legislature is up to. They're trying not only to drive immigrants either underground or out of state, but all of us to put us really in our place. These measures are absolutely racist measures measures backed by racist tendencies on the part of these legislators, and they're absolutely lying about everything that they say about Raza studies. They're totally lying.
Well, Isabel Garcia, you mentioned Tom Horn. He's the state superintendent of public instruction. He fought for years to end Tucson's ethnic studies programs. Horn is a Republican who, as you mentioned, is running for Attorney General. He was interviewed by Anderson Cooper on CNN yesterday, where he staunchly defended the bill.
The standards that we promulgate require that all social studies classes teach different cultures. We want all kids to be exposed to a lot of different cultures. But what I'm opposed is dividing kids up. So they have Raza studies for the Chicano kids. Raza means the race in Spanish. African-American studies for the African-American kids. Asian studies for the Asian kids.
But what's wrong with that? If an African-American kid wants a class that you know, has a focus on African-American studies, what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with it is that it divides students up by race, and I believe that one of the principal ideas of the American public school system is we bring kids together and we teach them to treat each other as individuals. What matters about a person is what does he know, what can he do, what's his character or hers, not what race was he born into. You know what? I was on that March on Washington in summer of 1963. I just graduated from high school, where Martin Luther King gave his famous speech saying we should be judged by the quality of our character and not the color of our skin. And that has been my most fundamental belief my entire life, that we are individuals. We are not exemplars of the race we were born into. And this philosophy that's preached by this program in Tucson and by your other guest, that's a race-obsessed philosophy, and it's a downer philosophy. Teach people that they're oppressed, look, make them angry, you know what? Make it so that they don't have hope for their future.
Let me finish.
That, again, was Tom Horn, who is running for the state attorney general. He's the superintendent of schools. Isabel Garcia, your response to his points.
Well, as you can hear, to be able to get Martin Luther King's quote about judging everybody on the content of their heart and character is absolutely outrageous that he can use to defend this. To say that an African-American kid, because in fact he's African-American, he can then not take African-American studies, I guess that's what he's saying, is absolutely preposterous. This program is so successful that every school in the United States of America should take this class. That's what we believe. It should be expanded. He's absolutely right. It should be open to everybody, and in fact, here in TUSD, it is open to every student. We have many students that are white students that take this class and have come to give testimony about how valuable it is. Can you imagine if every student took this class in the United States? We wouldn't have 1070, we wouldn't have 2281, we wouldn't have any of these anti-immigrant, anti-Mexican, anti-human measures we have in Tucson.
I'd like to ask Kim
in Arizona.
I'd like to ask Kim Dominguez. First of all, you and the other students who were arrested, how were you treated after your arrest, and what was the response of either fellow students or other folks in your community to your actions?
Put your phone down.
I think the whole community and fellow students were supportive of the arrest, not because we got arrested. That wasn't the intentions. The intentions were to do the right thing and to ignite a spark within the nation that we have to demand to move to the next step, to protect these classes, to protect our communities against HB 2281, SB 1070. We've done petitions, we've done letters, we've done calls, we've done everything that this American United States system has asked us to do. We vote, I vote, and I think it's time to move to the next step. Tom Horn came to grandstand here at TUSD and, you know, promote that this bill had been passed, and he canceled that meeting and he ignored us. And so we moved to the building where he was having a press conference in hopes that he would hear our demands. Although Tom Horn has a lot of allegations about what the program is and what the classes do, he's never visited a classroom, he's never had a conversation with any of the students or the alumni. And so I think it's time to move to the next step. I think Tom Horn needs to hear our demands. He needs to speak with the students. He needs to speak with the alumni. He goes around saying, read this bill before you make any judgment, but he hasn't read any of our books. He hasn't talked to us. And so I think the community was supportive of us moving it to the next step, as the Capital 9 did and as the 14 who were arrested in LA have. You know, it's not just about ethnic studies. It's not just about SB 1070. It's beyond that. This is a blatant attack to the Latino, Mexicano, Chicana, indigenous community, and we're stepping up our game, and the students are not going to take this kind of violation of our community's rights.